Phone case sales are finally starting to pick up for me on Merch by Amazon. So I'm going to show you how I find my keywords and also how easy it is to create your designs yourself. Hey Lee Tribe, so I have experienced an uptick in sales with phone cases over the last couple of months, and I believe a lot has to do with Christmas. As someone in my group pointed out, a lot of people got phones for Christmas, so they bought phone cases. Also, the iPhone 12 rolled out in November, and I noticed an uptick in iPhone 12 cases specifically in the last couple of months. Now, when it comes to finding keywords, I like to use this Chrome extension called Keyword Surfer. This was recommended to me by one of my students. Shout out to Dan. I really do like this extension because it's very easy to use and it helps me to find low competition keywords. All you do is go to the Chrome web store. I also believe you can get this from Firefox or for Firefox. The keyword I want to focus on in this video has to do with space. That's the broad topic, specifically astronauts. And the reason I thought about space is I remember with the pop sockets, the nebula, space, planets, all those keywords did really well, or they do very well on pop sockets. So I thought, well, if they sell well on pop sockets, they probably do well on phone cases, and they do. So I started typing in some various space-related phone case keywords into Google, and Keyword Surfer will reveal some less competitive phrases that you can research. And so some of the phrases may be directly related to what you search for, and then others might be somewhat related. But I like that because it gives you a variety of different keywords that you might not have thought of. So obviously we can't do anything with NASA because of, trademarks. But here's astronaut in space wallpaper. But someone may also be looking for that on a phone case. Here's space iPhone cases, kind of broad, planet phone case, a little bit more specific. And here's astronaut phone case. And that's the one I really want to focus on in this video. So a lot of times when I find a keyword that looks like it might have some potential, I don't really care too much about this volume here, except I don't want it to say something like 50,000 or 20,000 because that's just too high. Probably means it's going to be too broad. The next thing I will often do is then go to Google Trends just to see if it's trending or not. Not that it necessarily has to be, and sometimes it might be a good thing if it's not trending. But there isn't always a correlation between the trend and the sales on Amazon. You definitely have to check Amazon. But sometimes I like to come in here and see if it's trending, and this phrase happens to be trending right now. So the next thing I'll do is head on over to Amazon and see what that keyword looks like there. And I'll check to see if maybe I need to cross niche it or narrow it down a little bit more. And this is not a bad keyword, you guys. 744 results. That's, sometimes might be a too big of a number for me. But if I see that they're selling really well, I'll just look for ways to cross niche the idea. And you'll see an example of cross-niching with this in just a second. But look at how well these are selling. And you notice that you don't see a lot of Merch by Amazon products. And a lot of that has to do with the fact not everybody has access to them. And then not everybody can get into Merch by Amazon. So that could be an advantage for you. Here's an example of someone that did a merch design and they cross-niched astronaut with skateboarding, which was very smart. Now, another way this is not necessarily cross-niching, but it's a way to get more exposure for your design, and that is to create a pattern that includes a lot of the things and elements that are related to the topic. And I'm going to show you how you can create this very easily using Canva. Now, as many of you all know, I use Photoshop and Illustrator, but the reason I use Canva for a lot of my videos is that's what people have requested. So we're going to choose 1800 by 3200 for the size because that's the size you must use for Merch by Amazon. Now in this video, make sure you stay tuned to the end, you guys, because I'm going to show you not only how to create an all over sort of pattern for merch, but I'm also going to show you how to create a pattern file, a seamless pattern file that you can import into your own software, Photoshop or whatever you use, and then you can reuse this pattern over and over again. And you can do this in Canva. So the first thing you want to do is come over to background if you wanted to have a background color. And I think for space, it sort of makes sense to have a dark background. So we're going to click black. And the next thing we're going to do is get an astronaut, since we're doing an astronaut phone case. Oops, I did a search in background instead of the elements. So let's make him a little bit larger. Move him like that. And so I'm gonna lock him so I don't move him around accidentally. And now we're gonna create a little pattern behind him. And this is where the pattern comes in. Holding down Option or Alt to then drag. I'm just gonna kind of do this on down. And I wanna make sure that he is in the front. So let me unlock him and then right click and choose Bring to Front. And that ensures everything that I put on here will be behind him. So let's lock him back. One thing about Merch's template for these phone cases, you really want to have the things that you want to be seen away from the border, because there's like a lip around the outside, and I find that things that appear on the outsides don't really show up that well. So just keep that in mind. Now, obviously, you guys, this is a very overly simplistic design. I tend to put a lot more work into my stuff. All right, so you just get it like you want it, and now this is ready. So you would just come up here to Download, and PNG is suggested, leave it like that, and click Download. Now this is the cool part. Now we're gonna create the pattern file. This is what you're gonna be able to reuse. You can import it into Affinity Designer, Photoshop, whatever you use, and you can scale this as big as you want or as small as you want. So let's do 5,000 by 5,000 so we'll have more to work with. And we want our pattern to have a dark background. So let's choose black again. And let's start off with a star. Oops, I keep on doing that, you guys. There's the star. Now, when it comes to making a seamless pattern that repeats seamlessly, I'm being redundant here, you want to start by working your edges, okay? And this is how this works. So if I have something cut off like this, see that pink line that's going horizontally? That's telling me that the star is cut in half. So in order for this to repeat seamlessly, it has to be cut in half on the opposite side. So the easiest way to do this in Canva is to hold down Option or Alt, drag, and you're gonna look for those 3 lines to let you know that it's directly lined up. And you also want that pink horizontal line at the bottom letting you know that the star is cut in half on the other side. Hope that makes sense. I'll do it again just in case you didn't catch that. So when this file repeats in Photoshop or wherever you upload your patterns to, the stars will be one whole star. They won't be cut up. And I'm going to show you what it looks like if you don't do this correctly. So let's do this with something else, because a star is symmetrical. Let's do something that's not symmetrical. Let's use this astronaut here. So I'm going to drag him over here, and I got the pink line, which means he's cut in half. So I'm going to hold down Option or Alt, drag him over. I'm looking for those 3 lines and then that vertical line to tell me he's cut in half on the other side. That's what I want. So that's how you work your edges. Let's do the same thing with the moon. Cut in half there. Bam, cut in half there. And now for the rest of your pattern, you can just sort of move things around. The middle part of it doesn't matter because that part doesn't get messed up when it repeats. It's everything that's on the edges. So you have to make sure you watch your edges. You want to kind of space them out pretty evenly because it does look funny if they're not, because you'll have like clusters of icons. But I think you guys can get my drift here. So when you're done, you're going to download this as a PNG. So I've just opened this PNG into Photoshop, just File, Open. Now we're going to import this as a pattern so I can reuse it. So I'm going to go down to Define Pattern, and I'm going to call this Astronaut, Stars, and Moon. Now we're going to do File, New. We're going to open a Merch by Amazon phone case template, which is 1800 by 3200. We're going to grab our Layers window. Make sure you see this window. If you don't, go up to Window, Layers, and we're going to double click this to turn off the lock. Right click, Blending Options, Pattern Overlay, and there's the pattern that we just created. And this is what I mean by seamless. Notice how the moon, the astronaut, is not cut off no matter how I scale it up or scale it down. Had I not done this properly and I had not paid attention to the edges, this is what it would have looked like. See how the moon is cut off there and it doesn't look natural? So you have to pay attention to those edges for it to come out right. So now I have a pattern that I can use over and over and over again. I can upload this to Redbubble just as a pattern. I would just open, a bigger file, obviously. But for Merch by Amazon, you just file, export this as a PNG, and you're ready to upload. So this is what that repeating pattern looks like when I uploaded it to Merch by Amazon. Now, in terms of the look, which option you use really doesn't matter. That second option is if you want to use that file in your software of choice and you want to make sure that the file is seamless. It doesn't really matter when it comes to how it looks to the customer. So when it comes to describing your phone case, that's the great thing about a pattern, because you can throw a lot of things into the pattern and that will give you more keywords that you can use to describe your design, and that gives you more opportunities to get found. So for the title, I said astronaut, moon, and stars space pattern. So somebody might be looking for an astronaut pattern, a moon and stars pattern, and then for the bullet, the first bullet, I said a pattern that includes an astronaut, gold moon, and turquoise stars. The perfect galaxy design for anyone who loves space travel, science, and astronauts. I don't always add a second bullet. It just depends on if I can think of anything else to say. But if you need some more keywords, don't be afraid to check out the source. You might discover some more keywords that can help you with describing your design. Some people are concerned about adding colors in their description, because I know in the terms, merch has kind of cracked down on describing things. Here's my interpretation of that. I've had no issue describing colors, because some people do look for like a red striped phone case or a black and white phone case. Just stay away from doing things like neon, bright, but describing colors seems to be fine because people do search by color, especially if color is a dominant part of that design. So if you've got a red and white striped phone case, you should definitely say red and white stripe, I believe. That was my interpretation of the rules. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like, and thanks for watching.